The Dutch Grand Prix was a disaster for Red Bull, and no one was more vocal about it than Jos Verstappen. The world champion's father did not hold back in the slightest, slamming Christian Horner and the team for losing their edge. Watching Max helplessly fall behind Lando Norris was the last straw. The Dutchman has now made it clear that the team needs to get its act together quickly, or there will be consequences. It was a tough race on the track, but the fallout in the paddock might be even tougher. Finishing second at Zandvoort might not seem terrible if you just look at the numbers for this season. Red Bull didn't win the 4 races before that either, but that's not how the Verstappens see it. The fact that Lando Norris finished nearly 23 seconds ahead after 72 laps stings. McLaren brought in updates that worked, while Max had to revert to an older version of his RB20. Jos Verstappen thinks Red Bull Racing is missing some much-needed self-reflection. Not everything should be glossed over. It is time, if it is not already too late, to take a critical look at ourselves. Good people are leaving the team. I am very dissatisfied with what is happening, he told the German publication, Bild. You can't sugarcoat it anymore, the situation is serious. Max won't be happy with having a car like this. Now it's up to Horner to get the team back on track. Earlier this season, Jos Verstappen was very publicly at odds with Horner during the whole allegations controversy. Despite being back on speaking terms now with the team principal, it's clear that Verstappen still doesn't have the trust in Horner to change things for the better for the team. When Bild asked if he's confident that Horner can turn things around, Jos said, "It will surprise me, but at the moment I say no. A lot has to happen. The whole spirit has to change." Max started strong at the Dutch Grand Prix, getting the jump on pole-sitter Lando Norris, but it didn't take long for the McLaren driver to catch up and overtake the championship leader within the first quarter of the race. What's really troubling for the Verstappens and Red Bull isn't just that they were beaten, it's how much they were outpaced. This was the 5th time McLaren outqualified Red Bull in 2024, but the gap was more than twice as large as their previous best. Norris translated that pace into an easy victory in the race, with the biggest winning margin of the season so far. And it's not like this wasn't just a one-off fluke. McLaren had a clear and decisive performance advantage over Red Bull, similar to what we saw back in Hungary in July. This has led to an unusual end to Verstappen's dominant streak since his last win at the Spanish GP, as Oscar Piastri, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris have all taken wins since then. As the season has gone on, Red Bull hasn't just been struggling to keep up with the upgrades brought in by the competition, they're being forced to go back to older versions of the car. Though Max has somewhat kept his composure, his father Jos has taken the loss a little too seriously. Speaking to De Telegraaf after the race, he aired his frustrations. "Maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'm doing it anyway," Jos Verstappen told De Telegraaf after the Dutch Grand Prix. "The fact that you have to go back to the car from the beginning of this year says enough. They just don't have it right here at the moment. I think they should take a good look in the mirror." According to Jos Verstappen, though, his son could see the writing on the wall. "Max knew this was coming," he said. "He just didn't have a chance. This way it's going to be really tough the rest of the year. Max is doing everything he can, but doesn't have the material to finish it. It was already exceptional that he qualified second." But that's not the only thing Jos had to say. In another interview with Viaplay, he shared more worries about where Red Bull is headed and whether they can keep up with McLaren in the next few races. The former F1 driver said he saw this drop-off coming. He explained that the updates Red Bull brought in just weren't enough to keep pace with McLaren, and now even Mercedes is catching up. "It just looked strong at the beginning of the season, but suddenly we lost everything. The updates were there in my eyes, but they didn't do much. And it showed," the 52-year-old said. "It's annoying, and I think they have to pull out all the stops to make it better." Max is complaining about the balance. He said that again after qualifying at Zandvoort. "The balance is not there. There is under and oversteer, and that also makes it difficult to push. You just don't know what's going to happen, and it shows. I spoke to Max and he's not satisfied, you can tell, but I can also see that about him." After the race, Max also revealed issues with front-to-rear car balance and tyre degradation. "The last few races haven't been fantastic. That, in a sense, was a bit alarming," said Verstappen. "We don't need to panic, but are trying to improve the situation. That's what we are working on, but F1 is very complicated." Something in the car has made it more difficult to drive, and it's very hard to pinpoint that at the moment. That's hurting our one-lap performance and long-run pace. Max didn't hold back when talking about the struggles he faced on track. Speaking to Sky Sports F1, he said, "I'm not surprised with how my feeling was in the car. I couldn't do anything. Everything I tried to do, I said it during the race. Whatever I do with the car, the inputs are not really translating. When I steer left, it doesn't feel like it does immediately, or it just doesn't turn how I want to. It's very complicated to understand why that is, and how we fix that." The positive was the start, but quite early on in that stint, Lando was waiting for the opportunity. I degged a bit and couldn't make the tires work. He came by, and from that point onwards, I was focused on bring it to the end in the best possible position. When asked if the RB20 is the most difficult car he's driven in F1, he said, "It's not the easiest. There's a few things we are looking at, and hopefully we can improve the situation quickly. But only time will tell." Red Bull's lead in the Constructors' Championship has now shrunk to just 30 points over McLaren, with Oscar Piastri finishing 4th and Sergio Perez coming in 6th at the Dutch Grand Prix. After winning 4 of the first 5 races, it seems pretty apparent that Red Bull have taken a wrong turn in their development strategy somewhere during the European leg of the season. That could help explain their recent drop in performance. Team principal Christian Horner mentioned that in the Netherlands, Verstappen and Perez were running different car setups to try and figure out what's going wrong. McLaren were very fast today. All credit to them. "We took a bit of a gamble because we thought the degradation would be quite high, so we went up on the downforce level to maximum downforce," he said. "If the degradation was high, we thought it would help. In the end, it turned out to be low, and it made us slow on the straights with Max. The benefit is we ran both cars with different specs, so we have taken a lot of data. It's important we understand and use that data. Max is very clear on where we need to improve. Max Verstappen should still have a big enough lead to take the driver's title. It won't be as smooth as in past seasons, but it's a pretty safe bet to say that his title is still pretty secure. The real concern is whether Red Bull can hold on to the Constructors' Championship. McLaren's strong form isn't the only issue. Other drivers have consistently been taking points off Sergio Perez, which has put Red Bull's lead under serious threat. Red Bull might not admit it, but the departure of key staff members, as Jos has pointed out, seems to be taking its toll. Their car development, especially when compared to McLaren's, is clearly lagging, and that should be a big worry for the team. If they don't get things sorted by the end of the year, they're going to find themselves in a tough spot next season. And with all teams soon having to choose between focusing on 2026 or going all in for 2025, Red Bull could be in for a difficult time. It's pretty shocking that a team that started the season so strong is now struggling just to win races. The next few races could define not just this season, but the future of the team as a whole. All eyes are on Christian Horner and Red Bull. Do you think they can turn things around, or is this the beginning of a new era in Formula One, clad in papaya colors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the latest F1 news.